recently purchased 2 old Olympus film cameras from the popular second-hand store here in Sweden. I have always liked taking photos, and I usually take photos with my iPhone. But I don't really like how the pictures turns out every time. The camera that the iPhone has is very good, but for the type of photography that I want to do, the iPhone camera doesn't cut it. The iPhone's polished camera isn't really what I'm looking for. I wanted something more, and something that actually has some characteristics, and something that gets me more involved with my photography, that actually make me wait and stand and think about what I want to take a picture of. I wanted something that made me more involved in photography. I wanted something that got me thinking about photography and actually be part of the process, taking active decisions about lighting and what type of apertures and shutter speeds I wanted to use. So what better way to do that than to buy some old Olympus analog cameras. After some online research and looking at different forums on the internet and different sellers, I found 2 cameras, the Olympus OM-1 and the Olympus XA. So I decided to buy these 2 cameras. I got them for a decent price, both of them, and I'm pretty happy with the conditions that the cameras came in. I didn't know much about analog film cameras before this purchase, so I didn't really know what to think about or what to look after when buying analog cameras. But I'm pretty happy with the conditions that the camera came in, so I was lucky. The only faults I have been managed to see for the 2 cameras was that the Olympus OM-1 light meter doesn't work, and for the Olympus XA I haven't gotten any problems with it yet, and it is in pretty good condition as well. But in this video I'm not going to focus so much about the cameras more than this, but I will focus on the experience that I have had shooting with these 2 cameras for the first time, and actually shooting analog also for the first time. I decided to go for the Kodak Gold 200 for the Olympus OM-1. But for the Olympus XA I decided to go for the Kodak Ultramax 400 instead. I wanted a more diverse film in my Olympus XA because I wanted to take that camera with me almost everywhere. And because that camera also has a flash on it, I also wanted to use it in more darker situations with the flash on. So I decided that the Ultramax was the best suit for that camera. Because it is my first time using film and analog, I wanted something very simple to use. So I decided to go with those 2 film rolls. To start, I think we're going to look at this picture first. This is one of the first pictures I took with the Olympus XA. This picture was taken probably somewhere between October and November. It was a grainy and pretty dark October or autumn day. I was out doing my usual training, and I saw this small little house on a rock beside a road in the forest. So I took out my Olympus XA, which is a rangefinder, and I took a shot of it. When you look at this picture you can see that the focus isn't on the house, because I actually missed the focus on this. Because the Olympus is a rangefinder and it has a rangefinder patch, that patch is very hard to actually see if it is in some darker place. So I missed the focus on this shot. Otherwise I think it's a pretty good shot. It is pretty framed up with all this greenery surrounding this house on the rock, and I also think that the rock gives a pretty place for this house to be in. This whole photo is very focused on just this small little house in the forest, and I think it is actually a pretty interesting picture I took. For being one of the first pictures I took on this roll and ever on analog, I actually really like this photo. And next up I have another really beautiful picture from the Olympus XA. This one is also taken from about the same time period, but it was a bit colder this day, so there was some frost in the grass. The day before I took this photo, I actually heard on the news about a forest filled with red berries. That was actually pretty unique for this area in where I live here in Sweden. So when I decided to go on that day's training session, I decided to run to this forest with my camera in my pocket. When I got there, the berries were all very beautiful and very red. So I decided to go inside the forest and look up some places to take photos. Because I was training, I decided to just take one photo from this beautiful tree here. The photo I took was actually pretty okay. I'm not really satisfied with it because, as I said before, this is a rangefinder camera and it is very hard to focus. And I decided to focus on some berries in the middle center of the image, but this makes it look like the branch that is taking up most of the foreground is actually not in focus. So this makes it just look a bit weird, because you can see that the small branch at the bottom actually is in focus and the big branch in the middle isn't in focus, which makes it not so pleasant actually. But I really like the red that stands out from the otherwise pretty grey and dark colors in the rest of the photo. So if I had actually focused more on the branches in the middle of the picture, I actually think this might be better. Continuing with the Olympus XA and the photos I took on that camera, we're going to go to a bit different photo. This photo is of a corridor I took from a window on a building that I saw when I took a late night stroll one day. I saw this window with a corridor and this light at the end of the hallway, so I decided to take a photo. The focus is pretty far away, so it is not the sharpest image. I kinda like this shot because it's different from the other shots I've taken. It's not the best photo and it's not really that interesting. I kinda like this shot only because it's different from the other shots I've taken. There isn't really anything spectacular or interesting that you can say that is happening in this image. The light at the end of the corridor is pretty cool because you have this segmented feeling that there is light at the end of this tunnel, and in the foreground you can see this checkered floor with this green plant, which brings out some characteristics, but in the middle you can also see this darker patch. So in that sense it is something there, but I don't really think it's that worthy of keeping. But I thought it could be interesting to share this picture as well because it's a bit different from the pictures that are on this roll otherwise. I usually compete in skiing during the winter, so this shot is actually taken during one of those competitions. Me and my dad stayed at a mountain hotel, and this picture was taken just outside of the place we stayed. It had snowed a lot the past days, so there was a lot of snow, and it is actually snowing a lot in this picture as well. I like this shot because it's very moody, and you can actually feel the winter in this picture. I think it works pretty well with the tree house set that actually makes some structure up in this picture. The foreground is pretty empty though, and I would actually like if there were somebody like walking by or anything else just in foreground. The sky is very moody, and it is actually a pretty substantial moody feeling you get from this image, so I like it in that way. But it absolutely could be better. I think, as I said before, that something is missing from this photo. Maybe just a bit more structure, because I don't really find it so structured right now. This picture was taken atop of a mountain just beside the city where my grandparents live. I usually come here in the winters and whenever I have time. This time I was up on the mountain and I had done some cross-country skiing. This old ski jumping tower I thought was going to be a pretty good subject for this frame. The photo I took is nothing special, but to me it is, because it's capturing a memory. The city means a lot to me and I have been here many times. Capturing this city for the first time on analog film was pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty good, and I kinda like how you can see the whole city from above here. Right, let's get into the photos with the Olympus OM-1. With the Olympus OM-1 I had a much harder time photographing. Because that camera is a manual camera, I had to do and learn everything by myself. The Olympus XA has a automatic exposure feature, but that isn't on the Olympus OM-1. And because the OM-1's light meter doesn't work, I had to use a mobile phone app to get the right exposures. But it was still very hard, and I underestimated how much light you actually need to have, especially in the dark. Almost every shots were in dark conditions. As you can see in the pictures I took, a lot of my photos were just underexposed. When I was shooting, I used my mobile phone app, and the phone app said that I had to expose for a long time, but I didn't really know or had the experience of photographing for that long, and I knew that if you had an exposure under 1/30th or 1/60th, that your photos would start to get blurry if you didn't have a tripod. So I decided to try to photograph a lot of my photos with about 1/60th or 1/30th of a second exposure, and that just isn't enough to let the light in. But not every photo that I took on the Olympus OM-1 is bad. Take for example this one. I really like this photo that I took in the middle of Umeå Center on the city square. It is dark and I probably exposed for 1/30th or 1/60th, but I kinda like it because I managed to get pretty still so the photo isn't so blurry. You can see the cyclist that is passing by is blurred, and I think it adds to the character of this photo. There is of course some blur because I should have probably used the tripod, but I didn't really know that. But I kinda like this. It's giving a vibe, and it isn't blurry to the point that you can't see what it is, and I think the cyclist just adds a pretty touch to this photo. Another photo that I kinda liked also is just one photo that I took at home. It was probably one of my first photos. The colors turned out pretty great. I don't know if it's so interesting, it's just my dishes, but it has some character to it, and I've said it a lot before, but I really like the feeling that you get from the character of film, and I just think that this picture captures it pretty good. So it's just a messy photo, but it is relatable. I think it's just it's a photo. But yeah, it's actually one of the better ones I got on this film, so yeah. Then we have this photo. I was out with my friends and we were on our way home from another city back here to Umeå, and on the train station I decided to take a photo. It had some really cool lighting, I thought, and those benches were just lined across this floor. I thought it would make a pretty interesting picture, and this is the picture I got. I think the colors are pretty great. I think it's hazy mood, and I like the colors a lot on this photo. The subject could have been clearer. It's a bit messy right now. Yeah, it's a bit messy right now. One other picture that I took was in the city of Umeå, the Umeå Hotel, and it's a pretty weird building because it's just weirdly shaped and it feels a bit out of place. This was just around blue hour or maybe a little bit later. I kinda like it. It's pretty clean because the white is a big contrast to the blue sky, and also the color elements from the other mood lighting on the building or the hotel itself. It just makes pretty cool shapes and lighting that I captured. So it's nothing special, but I kind of like it, this one as well. That was my experience, my first time ever shooting analog film with two different cameras as well, one SLR and one rangefinder. I really enjoyed shooting with both of the cameras, especially with the Olympus XA because of that small form factor. One thing I didn't like about the Olympus XA was the rangefinder patch. It's pretty hard to actually focus with that camera because it's so small. It makes it just so hard to actually focus and see that rangefinder patch. But otherwise I really enjoyed that camera. It's just so easy to take with you everywhere, and it's just so handy. Especially the flash that comes with it. It's just so useful when you're in the dark. It's just make it so much easier to actually get a good photo, and you don't actually have to worry about the lighting as much as with the OM-1. The OM-1 is also a really fun camera. I really liked it. It's really nice because it's just a fully mechanical camera, so you don't actually need a battery for it to work. So that's just really nice. The problems I have with it doesn't got
got a light meter, it doesn't work. I've tried to put in a battery, but it still doesn't work. But it could have been nice to have a light meter to just get a bit of a feel of when you're in reach of exposure and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed the OM-1. It's a really fun camera, it's a really beautiful camera, and it's actually pretty small as well for SLR. It's a really nice camera, and I would absolutely recommend both of these cameras to anyone who would start out shooting with film for the first time. The two film stocks that I used was Kodak Gold and the Ultramax. I enjoyed both of those films, and I think I actually prefer the Kodak Gold a bit more over the Ultramax. But the Ultramax is just really nice in the XA because you have that 400 ISO instead of 200. You have a bit more latitude in the dark, but some of the colors that I've gotten on the XA is a bit too vibrant maybe. There is just something that I don't really like, or that is just not as pleasant as the Kodak Gold, because the Kodak Gold's colors are just really good, and even in the dark, when I actually had some good lighting, the colors turned out great, and I really enjoyed that film stock. So Kodak Gold is absolutely something I will continue shooting. Ultramax is probably also something I will continue shooting, just because of the price of both of them, but the Gold is just so fun, and I really enjoyed that color. That film stock is just so nice. This experience of shooting film was everything I was looking for. My iPhone camera is just not in comparison with the two cameras and the film stocks. It just doesn't have the character, and when shooting film I just get everything that I was looking for. I get to be more involved with my shooting, and I get to exercise all my creativity when shooting also, because I have to just think about the places and the composition and everything like that, and it's just so much more fun than shooting with an iPhone, and I will absolutely continue doing this. I will continue my film journey, and I maybe do some more videos on my channel on just film photography or just cameras, and I hope you also enjoyed it, and thank you for being here with me. And if you liked it, you can like this video or just share it or subscribe, would mean a lot to me, so thank you. Yeah, so have a good day, have a good night, and be well everyone.